Hi, I'm Karen Wickham. I'm a senior social worker and I've been working with people who are deafblind for about 15 years now. People often ask me, what does a social worker do? Social workers work with individuals, with families, with employers, with employees, with groups and with the community. And they do so in the context of their unique physical, social and cultural environment, their experiences and their cultural and belief systems. Social workers focus on improving the well-being of individuals and groups by addressing inequalities through education. For example, working with a person who's deafblind to explain to a service provider how to book and use an Auslan interpreter. We do it through improving access, for example, working together with a person who's deafblind to explain their need for information in large print and to bring a communication guide with them to a training session. We do it through advocacy, through addressing systemic issues, for example, working with the person who's deafblind to write to their local council about some hazards which are affecting their safe mobility. Other examples of work I've done as a social worker with people with congenital and acquired deafblindness include supporting individuals, families and groups to understand and identify the psychosocial impacts of deafblindness, such as loneliness, isolation, loss of independence, boredom and frustration, to name just a few. Another example would be working with individuals to consider how they choose to identify, whether they identify as deafblind, blind with a hearing loss, deaf with a vision loss, or some other way, and to explore how this identity impacts on their life. Some causes of deafblindness are progressive. People with progressive conditions can lose a lot: roles, employment, relationships, and can need to adjust identity as well as develop new skills, supports and networks. I work to help develop a sense of competence and independence and reconstruct a sense of identity when needed. For example, to change from accessing Auslan visually to tactile, or having to start using a mobility device for the first time, such as a cane. These are major transitions that some deafblind people face, and support and strategies are often required to ensure these transitions are successful. Social workers also develop and implement behaviour support interventions. Some syndromes, which cause congenital deafblindness, have specific behaviour phenotypes and cause the individuals to exhibit certain behaviours. For example, self-harming behaviours, headbanging, scratching, etc. I work with individuals, families and staff to develop strategies to minimise harm to self, others and the environment, and to develop effective ways of communicating their needs and wants. I also work with people who are deafblind to identify and support the development of peer support groups and networks. As a social worker, I'm aware of many local, national and international groups relevant to people with deafblindness and people with specific conditions. Linking individuals with others who share similar issues helps to reduce isolation and loneliness and facilitates the sharing of information by peers to problem solve and learn new skills and strategies. I work with individuals and groups to develop self-advocacy skills, for example, the Deafblind West Australian Peer Support Group, which was established in 2007. I've worked with this group to develop skills of members to become more autonomous and independent as a group. Social workers also support people to seek and maintain their employment. Sometimes accommodation can only go so far and people leave or lose their jobs early, which can lead to further loss of self-esteem, identity and roles. Exploring new opportunities and ways of working and living with and supporting people to devise coping strategies for the challenges everyday life throws at them is a part of my role. Deafblindness is a unique and complex disability. People with deafblindness are more likely to experience positive outcomes and move through these difficult transitions with the support of a social worker with a deep and broad understanding of the common issues confronting people with deafblindness and the systems within which they operate. If people with deafblindness are to be included as equal citizens with the same rights as everybody else, it is imperative that skilled, trained staff, such as social workers experienced with deafblindness, are available to help those who cannot access this support through their limited informal networks. This is just a brief snapshot of some of the work we do to support the deafblind community. We know what works and the difference that appropriate support can make in the life of a person who is deafblind. Social work services, deafblind consultant are available through the National Disability Insurance Scheme, the NDIS.